real focus is we want to know what the U.S. Congress needs to do to better ensure that that Zimbabwe has a better future than its past. I lived in Zimbabwe in the 1980s, so I have a particular interest. We want to make sure that what's happened in the last couple of weeks actually prompts more democracy, that the elections actually come off next year, but more importantly, that they take the right steps beforehand to make sure that those elections are free and fair, and that Zimbabweans can, for the first time in a long while, actually express their opinions at the ballot box. So.
But what is your impression of the deliberations here, especially from Zimbabweans?
Well, there's, obviously there's concern that the change, that the coup will just lead to continued oppression like we've seen before. We want to make sure that that doesn't happen. The most important thing, I think, for us to do is to make sure that the pressure that we put on Zimbabwe, particularly the individual leaders through sanctions, and that the international community, the limits that they've placed on Zimbabwe in terms of new loans and whatnot, are held in place until we see actual progress, not just rhetoric.
That includes sanctions, right?
That includes sanctions, yes, certainly. The individual sanctions, and then most important probably is that the international institutions, the World Bank, IMF, Paris Club, and others make sure that they hold Zimbabwe's feet to the fire.
So we can simply say that we are not shifting policy.
Right. Right. And we want to make sure we work with our allies on this too. The British have been more inclined, I think, to move more quickly. I think the United States has correctly held back and say, let's see action. Let's see evidence that some of these reforms are going to actually happen.
You seem to be very, concerned about the Kukuraundi atrocities, the atrocities that were committed by the fire brigade. So what are you going to do as a government?
I think they're part of moving on is acknowledging mistakes of the past. And I think that Zimbabwe certainly still has a long way to go there. This can be done, as one of the panelists said, without much cost, simply an acknowledgement and moving ahead. So, but I don't think the government has fully done that at this point. And when some of the individuals in government are still maintaining that there was no fault, that's a problem.
And critics are saying that the United States government and Congress were actually ignoring the atrocities. What could be your reaction to that?
Well, I don't think that we ignored the atrocities at all. It's not been business as usual with Zimbabwe for quite a while. So I don't think that that's been the case.
And my last question is, it seems as if you've got this idea that Mnangagwa is a replacement of an old system. So do you think that the old system will continue, or there's going to be change in short term and long term?
That's yet to be seen. I mean, certainly the military apparatus, which he is protected by, maintained this continuity, if you want to call it that, but it's continuity really with the old system. We have to have free and fair elections, and you have to take a number of steps beforehand to make sure that they are free and fair. So we'll see if that happens.
And I guess we deploy some kind of observers during the elections.
Yeah, you bet. That's part of it.